Hello everyone, my name is Noah and welcome to this tarot deck flip through. Today we are going to be looking at the Witch Folk Tarot, which is published by Dark Signovir. And I got this for $45 at a local witch shop called Ceremonial here in Pittsburgh. And I've actually had this deck for a little bit, but I haven't had a chance to look through it. And I wanted to be able to share it with all of y'all now that I have a chance. So we have this as the cover. It's just a little text box. It says complete 78 card tarot deck. And then the one astray she was at forest, alone in the spruce, could not soar. Earth swallowed her water, washed her away. In the fire rose, and she learned how to fly. The nature you, the nature is me. Art by Ray Art. And then it has the same as on the other side. And I will say that this doesn't make 100% sense to me, but I do know the other deck that I bought from this publisher is not originally created in English. The guidebook was translated into English, so I'm thinking perhaps there is a slight maybe translation error, something lost in translation, or maybe I just don't understand. That's always possible. Now that we've got our candles lit and we are fully ready to immerse ourselves in the Witch Folk Tarot. This is just a little tuck box. It's a very glossy cardboard. Not passing judgment by saying that, literally just kind of describing it. So we have our little white book that isn't actually white in this case. We have the contents, major arcana, wands, cups, pentacles, swords. As you can see down here, we have the titles written in Cyrillic in, I believe, Russian, if I remember correctly. And it says art is by Ray Art, text is by Ray Art, and the curator is Luri Nazarenko. We have a little bit of a quote here to kind of set the mood. This is the same, I believe, as what's on the box. Yes. And then we have a little bit about the major arcana. So it looks like there are two maybe extra cards here. So we have Forest and Familiar, and then we go into Fool. Forest, pallid as a shadow in the sun, neither object nor being, alive and non-living. It has created in itself a force, invisible, not physical, but perceptible to shivers in the bones. In bitterness on the lips, the inextinguishable light becomes softer and the shadow turns into bottomless darkness. Here they were born, four energies, four elements, heat and cold, light and gloom, evil and good, nature. Is it myth or is it truth? But the seductive story begins here. Then Familiar says, like a sun, but he's not whole. As if he was disintegrated by a powerful force, having bestowed more than one generation of knowledge, and they do not look like dummies, but like the very admission of fate. They seemed to have risen from the darkness of desires, divine force without which everything is doomed to become lifeless and dull, will open to them from the depths of consciousness of space and nature. They are gifts for destiny. And we go through the rest of the major arcana, and then we get into the suits. We have Ace, 2, 3, 4. And then we get into the pentacles. And then once we've completed all of that in English, we move on to the section in Russian. And then there's a little bit in the back for notes. And there's also a little bit in the back here that looks a bit like what was in the other deck that I looked at from this publisher. We would like to share with you some thoughts regarding our dreams, values, and shed light on the direction we are evolving. It is evident that world production in the field of tarot these days is leaning towards soulless copying and printing for the mass market. Cards are losing not only their uniqueness, but an essential internal mystery as well. So our main intent is to preserve and spread further this fragile magic spirit that is about to dissolve. Here are three basic aspects we rely on. 1. We want our decks to be appropriate for tarot reading in itself, not just a useless mixture of images randomly intertwining with symbols lacking of any meaning. Behind any deck should be a strong concept with an elaborate symbolism. 3. We want to move towards historical technologies of the past in order to avoid modern copying and printing industry trends with its spiritual emptiness. Thus, we are willing to maximize the usage of natural materials and ingredients, handicrafts, so one can perceive the very soul of our creations rather than cold-blooded calculation of a merchant. 4. We want to create decks that will only grow in value over time, so we guarantee you that we are always ready to redeem your deck at the recommended price with an addition of 5% for each year from the date of publication. In any condition, full set only. And then it gives their information about their upcoming works, and where you can find them online. So, first impressions. Oh, hello Ravioli, my kitty cat's here. I don't think he's going to come say hi. He doesn't like candles, but he's here. The cardstock is very, very thin. Hello, boy. You are coming to say hello. I know you don't like candles. Yeah, I know. I know, little boy. It's okay. You don't have to come over here. No. No candles for the little boy. That's probably a healthy fear to have if you're a cat. But it's a pretty standard size. It's a smooth yet sticky, I would say semi-gloss, maybe leaning towards matte cardstock. Again, very thin. Some people like that, some people don't. It's not my preference, but I have found the cards from this publisher that I have already do shuffle very nicely, even if they're not as thick as I would like them to be. And with that, I'm going to bring you down closer in a second, and we will get started. The first card we have is the Knave of Wands, which is just an eye with some symbols. I wonder what order these cards are in, and I do notice there's eyes around the border as well. We have the Seven of Cups. I'm also noticing that it has the name of the deck at the top, which seems really odd to me to have the name of the deck. We have the Two of Swords. The cards that I saw when I was considering whether to buy this deck or not were the cards with the people on them, and they were what really drew me to it, because I really liked the illustrations. We have the Six of Cups, the Ace of Sword. These don't seem to be in any order, and this deck was sealed when I got it, so I don't think somebody shuffled it themselves. I don't really know why they were printed in this order, but it doesn't ultimately matter. We have the Ace of Wands, the Lovers, which has the number there, 6, the Lovers. We have the Sun, still with the Folk Witch at the top for all of them. We have the Wheel of Fortune. I do really like the clothing that these people are wearing. It's very much my aesthetic, not that that is necessarily a necessity in the decks I have. And I like the swirls on this card. It kind of reminds me, obviously, of the Wheel of Fortune. It's kind of going around and around, but it also reminds me of quilting. Sometimes the pattern that you can see in the stitching of the quilting looks like that. We have the Three of Cups, the Five of Wands. I don't know how well you can see this, but there is a cat and a bird, and they look like they're doing what cats and birds do. We have the Queen of Sword. I do like the hands kind of coming out of nowhere. And there's a bird there, a crow perhaps. We have the King of Cups. So really graphic art style, but still very folk art-ish, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for. The Eight of Cups. Temperance. Oh, I really like that. That one's really pretty. Oh, that's a bird, I think, or some sort of creature. I think it's a bird smelling the flower. The Hermit. I feel like this would be a very fun card for wintertime, fall, around like the winter solstice when it's very dark out. We have the Knave of Sword, which would be, I don't know if I mentioned this already, I don't think I did, but knave would be knight. Or no, it wouldn't. We have knave and knight. See, now I would think that knave would be knight, but I guess this is the page and this is the knight. The Knight of Pentacles. The Empress. There's an anthology of witchy stories I'm thinking of that this kind of reminds me of. I think it's called Toil and Trouble. And there's a couple stories in that this reminds me of. And there's also a story of She Who Runs with the Wolves that this reminds me of as well, but sorry, I was moving on without saying anything. We have the Tower. This is very interesting. It kind of makes me think illustration-wise of Temperance. I'm excited to look through or at the very least curious to look through the guidebook, the little white book, the little not white book, to read what they have to say about these cards. And then we have Judgment. I think I've realized what the design of these individuals on the deck make me think of. It kind of makes me think of Adventure Time. The way the noses are drawn, it makes me think of like the Ice King. I know very little about Adventure Time. I tried to watch it because I know a lot of people really like it, but it was not for me. We have the Knight of Swords, the 10 of Swords. That's interesting. We're back to the sigil glyph style. I can't even really call it pip illustration because it's not 10 swords, so it's not a pip card. We have the 8 of Swords, like this one. Reminds me of the Trolls and Hilda, maybe? Something. There's something wriggling around in the back of my brain being like, it reminds you of this, but I don't know what it is. We have the 7 of Swords. And then we have Forest here. So this is one of those extra cards. I like the pumpkin chalice with the seeds and whatnot. Very appropriate since we just had Halloween at the time of filming. 9 of Wands. I love that. That is beautiful. I think when we're done going through this deck, I will shuffle everything into the right order real quick and then go through it so you can see it in order, because I feel like there is something to be said for seeing the journey the cards go on in that order as intended by the artist. And we have the Devil. I skipped the Knight of Wands because I turned it over while I was talking. It looks very similar to the Sun. I wonder how similar they are. We'll have to see. Again, the Devil, we've got a bird on some flowers. The Magician, that is beautiful. Very eerie. We have the Queen of Cups. Interesting. We've got, that's from the Forest, that's from the 3 of Swords. I forget what that skull's from, but we've seen him already, and that kind of looks like the symbol from the Knight of Wands. So yes, there are definitely some symbols brought back in, and I feel like knowing where these symbols show up in the rest of the deck could be really interesting for reading this card. We have the 4 of Cups. I like that for the 4 of Cups. That's really interesting. She got a witch hat on. That's neat. I love her hair decoration. I would wear that whole outfit, honestly. It's a vibe. We've got 7 of Wands. Knight of Cups. This color palette is really appealing to me. I really like it. I like how this is a pretty good example of it. Sort of 2 color palettes. We've got the white, the black, and the red with a little bit of orange sometimes for fire. And then we have this more blue, cool, watery color palette. That's an interesting sort of split. These seem to be the 2 main themes color-wise, but they do go together pretty well. We have the Knave or Page of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles, the 10 of Wands, again back to the glyphs. And we have the 2 of Cups. Interesting. They kind of look like they're arguing. I don't think they're supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be dancing, but to me my first thought is arguing, which is interesting. It's not what I would usually consider for the 2 of Cups. We have the Hierophant. I bet that these individuals are visible on other cards, and we'd have to go back through and look and see which ones. We have the Fool. I like that. They're riding her like she's a broom. We have the Moon. Oh, that's cool. It's creepy. The Queen of Pentacles. The 3 of Wands. There is a cat in the leaves. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. And we have the Chariot. Kind of getting a 3 of Cups vibe from this. That's interesting. The High Priestess. Oh, there she is. That was one of the people that was on the Hierophant. The 8 of Pentacles. I really, really like that. The 9 of Swords. 6 of Swords. The Emperor. They're really pretty. I think this is the same creatures before I said it was a bird, but I suppose it's a fox, not a bird, or something like a fox. We have Death. That's really, really pretty. 10 of Cups. So it seems to only be the 10s that have this sort of sigil design or glyph. The 9 of Cups. We brought the pumpkin chalice back and the little snake guys. We've got Strength. She's been on other cards as well. Got the Queen of Wands. Kind of giving me ace energy there almost. King of Wands. Reminds me of Calcifer. The 8 of Wands. The 6 of Wands. I like that. 10 of Pentacles. Another glyph. It's hearts. It's interesting. The 9 of Pentacles. We have the King of Swords. I like that with the crows flying in front of him. The 5 of Cups. Definitely looks like a fox or something similar. A little bit of an Ouroboros action going on there. The Ace of Cups. And here's the Familiar. Sort of mimicking the setup for the Hierophant card with the people looking down at you. These are animals that can perhaps give you wisdom, whereas the Hierophant is people that would give you wisdom. 6 of Pentacles. This makes me think of that poem, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? King of Pentacles. The Star. The World. You have the Hanged Man. Interesting. I mean, the plant's kind of hanging over, but other than that, I don't really see a lot of Hanged Man energy. Again, a card I'm excited to look up the meaning of or how they've described it in this book. We've got the 2 of Wands. Okay, so there's a person here. It's very hard to see, and I think that's intentional. It's supposed to be like it's coming out of the darkness. I thought it was her hair had arms, but no, it's kind of like the light is hugging the dark. We have Justice. 7 of Pentacles. This kind of makes me think more of the 6 of Pentacles at first glance, but... The 5 of Swords. The 4 of Swords. The 3 of Swords. The 4 of Pentacles. The 3 of Pentacles. There's that fox creature thing again. We have the 2 of Pentacles. The Knave of Cups, which would be the Page of Cups, and the 5 of Pentacles. I'm going to go through real quick, and I'm going to get them back in order, and we will do another flip through just real quick. I won't be saying anything. The cards will just be in order so you can see that. Okay, after what felt like a very spooky game of solitaire, I have everything in order. So now we can flip through the cards. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to read the names. I'm just going to make it so that you can see them in order because I feel like that might help, at least for this deck. Okay, well that is the Folk Witch Tarot, and as always, I'm going to give it a little bit of a shuffle. I'm going to move back away from the open flame. We don't want to catch it on fire. I will say it's, like I said, thin cardstock, shuffles nicely. The cards don't stick to each other, even though they feel like they stick to my fingers. It could just be because I'm a little bit sweaty. It's possible, likely in fact. They do feel like they might be kind of slippy and go all over the place. But I personally use jumpers a lot in my tarot readings, so I'm not super opposed to that. Honestly, with tarot cards, it's so subjective as to what you like and want in a deck that, yeesh, that'll be the card we pulled, the Sun, that it is so personal and subjective with what you want in a deck, like I said, that me giving recommendations on whether you should buy it in terms of the way it feels is not really helpful. I like to just say, this is what it feels like to me, this is how it is to shuffle, and then you can put your own preferences in. For me, this is not the type of cardstock I like. That does not mean I don't like the deck. I just like really thick, really like textured, linen-y cardstock. But again, that's my personal preference. You might be the opposite. And to me, the cardstock isn't the most important thing. I'm much more interested in the illustrations and the guidebook when it comes to buying a deck. If I don't like the cardstock, unless it is truly atrocious, that won't affect buy. That's that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found the flip through of the Folk Witch Tarot both out of order and in order interesting. I feel like it really helped me to understand the deck a bit more, to see it in order. I think in the future I will put any decks that I have that I want to share with you in order. I think that really helped me to understand the narrative of the deck and the story the creators maybe are trying to tell through it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to watch more of my tarot videos, you definitely can. There's a whole playlist dedicated to all the tarot flip-throughs I've done, as well as a tarot tour I did last year. So now that we're at the end, I'm supposed to ask you to like the video if you liked it. Be sure to dislike it if you disliked it, although if you disliked the video, why are you still here? And leave a comment, tell me what you think of this deck. Do you have this deck? Do you have any other decks by this publisher? Just let me know about your thoughts on this video. I love talking to all of y'all, and I think it's really interesting to hear what you think, since I can talk at you throughout this whole video, but you can't really talk back unless you leave a comment. I think the last thing I'm supposed to ask you to do is ring the bell so you're notified when I make another video. I make videos on tarot, bullet journaling, and for the month of November I am making videos about writing for NaNoWriMo. And yeah, I hope you have a really great day, and thank you for spending part of it in the Stet Studio with me. Bye!